This is the Uptick Network Stock Day podcast, sponsored by InvestorsHangout.com. Penny stock news and interviews from the microcap world. Public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. With your host, Everett Jolly. This is Jasyn Blair on Stock Day, reporting for Everett Jolly, who's actually on vacation this week. Today, I have the guest of Dino Cremonese. He is the president of Teuton Resources Corporation, trading under the OTC bulletin board as TEUTF, and on the Toronto Stock Exchange as TUO. Dino, welcome to the show.
Hello, glad to be here.
Dino, just to get us started here, I see here that your company is actually based in the Golden Triangle region of British Columbia. Where is that exactly?
Well, that is very close to the southernmost tip of the Alaskan Panhandle, which is a little town in Alaska called Hyder. And right next to that on the Canadian side is a town called Stewart, which is the hub of the Golden Triangle. It's a very small town, but it has a very extensive mining history beginning about 1900s. And go up from there for about 150 miles in an expanding triangle, and you have the Golden Triangle.
Perfect.
It's actually, the Golden Triangle actually goes about 30 miles south of Stewart and starts from there. That's the vertice of the triangle, and it expands upwards, just to be really correct.
So this is in the Sulphurets region, correct?
Yes, that's in the heart of the Golden Triangle, which is about 30 miles north of Stewart, BC.
Excellent. Tell me, what discoveries have there been to date? I see you've been exploring and drilling there for 32 years now. Tell us what mineralization can be found north and south along this geological area.
Well, I might just go back to when I first came there 32 years ago. I got into a helicopter and flew up from town of Stewart into the Sulphurets area. It was staked at the time, still is staked, continuously staked. Saw a line of about 8 miles of gossans. Gossans are these we used to call them, red thumb zones because they stick out. You can see them from miles away. They're red and yellow and orange. They're zones of oxidation of all of the iron mineralization that's in the rocks. And those are generally a very good indicator where you may find profitable mineralization. In any event, this area, known as the Sulphurets, was one of the most intense zones of oxidation, alteration that I'd ever seen. And then I noticed as well that the area to the north, the Treaty Creek area, was open for staking, and the area to the south of this zone was open for staking. But let me just talk about, and I did stake it for my company, Teuton Resources, but I'm just going to speak about the center of the Sulphurets area, which can be combined into two properties. The one on the west side is owned by a company called Seabridge Gold. The one on the east side is owned by a company called Pretium Resources. Now, Pretium Resources has had the most success in the area. It's defined in the last 4 or 5 years a large deposit called the Valley of the Kings, which is currently one of the world's, if not the world's, greatest new high tonnage, high gold deposits. It's going to go into production in 2017. The mine is halfway constructed already, and it has about 7 million ounces of gold there in the indicated category. To the north of that, they've discovered another deposit, which is of lower grade, which has about 30 million ounces. That's a snowfield. And then just to the west of that, in Seabridge's property, there's a string of very large copper-gold deposits, which, if you add them all up, they come to over 50 million ounces of gold, if you can believe it.
Wow.
In the indicated category of a resource. And they're just getting started. There's lots more to be discovered there. One of the most exciting portions of the Seabridge property, the KSM property, is what they call the deep Kerr. And they're finding at lower levels under one of their deposits called the Kerr deposits of fabulous large mine, not mine yet, but it will become a mine. I'm convinced of that, containing a big resource, 1 billion tons of copper and gold, and it rivals. It's one of the 10 largest copper gold deposits in the world right now that are undeveloped.
That's incredible.
So there's lots of excitement about this area, this particular area, the sulfurettes, and in general, the areas around it. And government geologists are just starting to put together a picture of what caused all of these deposits to form in the first place. And that's also very exciting for people like me, who've been there for such a long time.
Absolutely. My guest today is Dino Cremonese. He is the president of Teuton Resources. They trade under the TSX under the ticker symbol TUO and on the OTC bulletin board as TEUTF. Now, Dino, explain to us what this prospect generator process is in your business model.
Well, it's called a prospect generator, and you can have two types of junior explorers. One is just goes out there and stakes a claim or buys a claim, and then spends the money, raises money, dilutes their equity, and explores it every year, and hopefully they come up with a mine. Whereas a prospect generator company spreads the risk by staking a large number of prospects, doing some work, some preliminary work on them, and then optioning them out to other companies to take that risky spend that risky first $1 million up to $10 million to, discover whether there's something there or not. And you and I both know that this is a game that we're in that's quite risky, and
Mm-hmm.
I think statistically 1 out of 5,000 prospects turns into a mine.
Okay.
So, we've cut the risk a lot. We don't have to dilute our equity by farming out our properties to other people who are better at raising money than we are. And we like to believe that we're better at developing prospects. So that's been our business model from the very beginning, and it's worked out well for us.
That's very good. I understand also that recently you have began a joint venture and option 4 of your properties to Tudor Gold. Now, this is headed by Walter Storm. Who is Walter Storm, and what are his plans for that area?
Well, Walter Storm is a bit of an enigmatic figure, but he's a wealthy German financier. He's been involved in mining, forestry, and oil and gas for almost 50 years now. And his last greatest success was with the Cisco Gold, which some of your listeners may be aware of. Mm-hmm. It probably was Canada's greatest new discovery 2 or 3 years ago, and it was finally taken over by 2 established mining companies for almost $4 billion. And I believe that Walter was one of the largest shareholders of Cisco Gold. He made a lot of money on this deal, and he's looking now to replicate that success in the sulfurettes area. So we have got his company Tudor Gold involved in our flagship property, which lies to the north of the sulfurettes district that I was talking to you about, mm-hmm. along geological trend. That's called the Treaty Creek property, and he's going to go in there this year and spend $1 million on that prospect and see if he can come up with some interesting mineralization, which I'm convinced he will, because there's just so many positive indications on that property. And then to the south, he's optioned another 4 properties from us. And which he also intends to work this year.
Excellent.
I should say that we have 2 other properties to the south that we have optioned to Teuton Resources, which is the owner of the VOK mine. So we've got a lot of options going on, and I'm glad to see that this area is finally getting the recognition it deserves. And people coming in willing to spend a buck.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of recognition, back in January, it was reported that the sulfurettes region is becoming one of the great mineral provinces of the world. how would you compare this to other mineral sites or even the gold production of the Nevada region in the U.S.?
Well, that quote comes from two people. One of them is Jeff Kaiba, who is the one of the principal geologists of the British Columbia government. He says it's definitely becoming one of the great mining provinces of the world. And then there's other very famous geologists who said the same thing. And it's not well known, but as you put all the data pieces together, a picture is forming, which suggests that this is actually true. The closest geological analog to this area is the Grasberg mining region of Indonesia, copper and gold. But as a more local example, in the same continent, you have Nevada, one of the great mining districts of the world. Something like 180 million ounces of gold produced there to date, and our region here, there's just in this sulfurous area alone, you have indicated resources of almost half of that amount, 83 million ounces of gold. So, by the time the dust settles on this area, I'm sure it's going to be much higher, and it's going to open up people's eyes to what we're dealing with here.
Absolutely. My guest today is Dino Cremonese. He is the president of Teuton Resources Corporation, trading under the TSX as TUO and under the OTC Bulletin Board as TEUTF. Dino, in closing, is there any new news or information you'd like to get out to our listeners?
Well, I would suggest that if they want to learn about our company, they just go to our website, which is www.teuton, that's TEUTON.com. There's lots there to read about. It's not just the properties to the north and the south of sulfurettes that are important. We also have another 10 properties further south along the same trend, and then even further south along different trends, including around another gold mine that's going to be coming into production in the next 2 years, the Red Mountain gold mine. We have another 12 to 14 properties in that area as well.
Exceptional. Again, Dino, thank you for appearing on Stock Day today. It's been our pleasure to have you on the radio. I'd like to check back with you here in a couple months to see how Teuton has been doing and to check back with you.
I'd be glad to be there.